Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack here. Monday now, the 17th of March, 2025. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. No green going on here, so I guess I'm going to get pinched. No green on the map today. We just got this yellow area that we need to talk about. That among a bunch of other stuff. So let's get right to it, shall we? Thank you for tuning in. Let's get going. First, National Hurricane Center homepage. I thought it would be at least May. We could make it to May before we'd have to deal with this, but here we are. And what is it? Well, we have a non-tropical area of low pressure, and it'll be easier to just show you what that means on the satellite imagery in just a moment. Nevertheless, it's out there in the Atlantic, in the subtropics, or just about in the tropics, straddling that line there. In a pretty large area of gale force wind and disorganized showers and thunderstorms, but it is expected to move into an area of even stronger upper level winds, more dry air, and I can show you all of that as well. But it is the responsibility of the National Hurricane Center to keep a lookout for all of this area out here. It's not just the land areas that we're concerned with. It's marine interest out here, so this does matter, and that's why it gets issued. Any ships that are out there, not just near the X, but all around it, and I'll show you that in a moment on the satellite imagery. But again, this is a special tropical weather outlook, and you can click on these and you get more information. No additional outlooks are expected unless warranted. And then on May 15th, if we can get between now and then without anything else popping up, that's when the regular issuance of this product will resume. So here it is on the still image. Let's look at it as we put this into motion from the Tropical Tidbit site. So some showers and thunderstorms around a low pressure center, but you can see the front down here. It's non-tropical in origin. It's got that comma shape. It's spread out over a large area. So it's not concentrated. It's not warm core. It's kind of a hybrid deal. It's trying. And if it was August and it was sitting over very warm water, yes, it would have a much better chance. But right now it's just a non-tropical gale force low over marginally conducive, an environment that's marginally conducive for development at best. So we really don't have to worry about it overall, right? But again, you're a ship, you're trying to get from Bermuda, I don't know, across the Atlantic over here towards Africa or something, and you got to go near this. You definitely want to know about it. That's why the National Hurricane Center, and they work with the Tropical Analysis and Forecast Branch, TAF-B, in the marine forecasting. It matters for global transport of goods across our oceans, all right? So this is what it looks like from the sea surface temperature perspective. Our system located roughly in here. Water temperature is a little bit warmer than the long-term average, so there's a little bit more energy available out there, but nothing that really says, oh wow, we really got to look out for this, nor is it a sign of things to come, I wouldn't imagine. No correlation between March tropical weather outlooks and future development. I wouldn't have to worry about that too much. So it's an anomaly, it's a novelty, something interesting to look at, but that's about it. But while we're here looking at the anomalies, these are important. Again, a pretty good area carved out here, finally, off the coast of Africa, all the way out close to the Windward Islands and leewards there. Not quite, but making progress. Chewed away at those really stupid warm anomalies we've seen the last couple of years. Will this hold? We don't know. I mean, it's still many months away from hurricane season itself. Almost 3 months, a little less than that, but August, September, that's still quite a ways away, and a lot can change out here. Nevertheless, the overall look to the warm Atlantic, generally speaking, continues. Very warm Gulf as well, and then you've got this sort of weird El Nino look out here that should dissipate in the coming weeks as stronger easterly trades resume across this region, and we can see that in the modeling and in real life, just looking at pressure patterns and so forth. But yeah, nothing's changed too much with this overall look, except I think the biggest thing is that we have lost that ridiculous warm anomaly to the deep tropical Atlantic. But again, it's just mid-March. We'll have to see if that holds on. Now I want to zoom in a little bit because again, our feature out here is sitting roughly in this area. Yeah, it just depends on where you are, right? But generally speaking, water temperature is just a little bit warmer than normal. A couple of areas that are below, so it's a wash in the end. Not too concerned with it. It's not like we've got what you see over here in the Gulf lurking over there. Now that would be more of a, whoa, we got to watch this, because there could be a lot more energy available down at the surface. But it's mostly, as I showed you, a little comma-shaped deal, the low pressure sitting in there, typical front attached to it, and as I said, also just a novelty, and that's just about it. Nevertheless, let's look at it on the modeling here. This is another really interesting clue. Bring me back on for just a second. And eventually, I was talking to some people, a little side note, I might just stay up all the time. Like, talk to you and not just at you. I like that. Like we're all friends sitting around chatting. So I might just leave this on in the future. I mean, whatever. Sometimes I like to draw your attention and want to make sure you're looking at stuff over here, but that's neither here nor there. Like I said, it's just a little side note. So what the deal is here, tropical systems need to be compact, right? They have to bundle that energy, and as soon as you see something like this with these various height lines in here spread out over a pretty large area, your bullseye, your concentric rings are spread out, the energy, the vorticity is spread out over a large area. It's not concentrated. Tropical cyclones need to bundle that energy, and this is not that. So that's one telltale sign amongst many. There's a lot of different ways to analyze this and explain it. But this is, I look at that and I go, yep, big wind machine, absolutely. But look at these pieces of vorticity here, or spin in the atmosphere, spread out over a very large area. Tropical cyclones, again, need to bundle that up, and they are much more concentrated, and we don't see that in this scenario, nor does it become anything resembling that as we go forward and it gets absorbed in this larger piece of energy. Talk about a huge area. Look at that. That's sitting out over the western Atlantic, and so yeah, nothing much is going to come of this. Looking at the dry air, remember I talked about it in the tropical weather outlook. I don't know if I mentioned it verbatim, but it's in there that it'll be moving into an area of strong upper level winds and dry air. So if I didn't mention it earlier, there it is there. So yes, that dry air represented on Dr. Cowan's maps here is brown. A little bit of a punch of more humid air with that green there. Hey, there's the green. Maybe that'll keep me from getting pinched today, right? But yeah, this is just not an environment for a tropical system to develop. But I mention it because it's out there on the map, and I want to explain it. Right? We don't put these things out just for attention. There is a reason that the Hurricane Center outlooked it, and again, the main issue is affecting marine interest. But look, you see, it just gets entangled in this next feature, and then that is that. And then finally, at the upper levels, strong upper level winds out across the Atlantic right now. That will be the case. I mean, forget it. Look at all those reds in there. The thing would just be decapitated, sheared apart, and we don't even have to worry about it. All right? All right. So this is a little concerning. I want to focus now on lower 48 weather. Similar to last week, though not as severe, but very important. All this pink and brown in here would be your wind advisories, and then these areas through here is your red flag warning, and even down in Florida as well. We don't want to neglect the Sunshine State. The sunshine could be obscured by smoke from fires if people are not careful out there. Pretty dry in a good deal of the Florida Peninsula. Very dry, very windy out through this area that I'm scribbling all over. Very, very dangerous. We need to pay attention to this. People need to be very careful. All the caveats apply, just making you aware, all right? Whether you live here or not, it is important because, again, a lot of our agriculture out there, a lot of our cattle, the different commerce, the airports, you name it, the weather affects everything we do every single day, and this is a great example of that, all right? So let me drop out just for a second so I can show you the modeling here as we go forward. Again, lower 48 because we've already covered the tropics. Over the next week or so, a few storm systems coming through. I tell you what, that's going to be a doozy in parts of Iowa, southern Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin over the next couple of days. Blizzard warnings, I can assure you there will be blizzard warnings for that. Look at those isobars in there. That's crazy. Wow. I mean, I would love to just zip up there and be in that, but I can't. I got a lot of work to do. We got conference season coming up, and I got to get presentations ready for 3 different talks, which is good. But no, I can't be traveling for weather-related stuff anytime soon. We'll probably have to wait until sometime in late April or May for that, and that'll be for hail stuff. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, we're out at 4 days, 5 days. Hey, look, a little semblance maybe of a nor'easter. We didn't really have any this year. Pretty blank from that perspective. This is day 5. overall a generally tranquil weather pattern until we get to next weekend. And then just looking at the surface map, there's your storm, there's your warm sector, and that brings me to this next part, the Storm Prediction Center. The next few days, by the way, here's today, and we were just in the general thunderstorm area here in the Carolinas. Had a water spout in Southport, or off the water there of Southport, and then many reports of very small hail here. Cold air in the upper levels of the atmosphere, spin in the atmosphere with the upper level low. Totally makes sense. And then all kind of appendages of general thunderstorm activity, light convective activity out in the western part of the country. Tomorrow, up in Iowa, a part of that overall system there, lots of energy. So yeah, I could get some thunder snow. That would be amazing. A thunder blizzard deal in Iowa. Finally, as we get out to Wednesday, this I bet we'll see a slight risk introduced at some point in there. And then once we get towards the weekend, this is where things start to ramp back up again. The very warm Gulf of Mexico here, feeding that moisture into any storm system that comes through. You get your low pressure areas, the big high off the southeast coast. I've showed it over and over. We can just keep doing it, and we will, and we have to stay on top of this. It really does bother me. I told my friend Dylan last night on the Twitter there, Dylan Federico, when he was mentioning that we were at 39 deaths or so. That hurts. We don't want to see anybody killed by the weather, especially when it is as well forecast as this last event was. So we have to pay attention. We have to come up with a better way. We're doing terrific with the science to predict this stuff out in time. Now we have to do something when it is happening to keep people from dying. I don't know what we can do in the rest of my lifetime, but boy, it's all about being aware at the very beginning of it, the front end. That's where the battle is won. You got to just know about it, and then hopefully do something to save yourself when severe weather comes your way. And once we get to hurricane season, we're going to talk about that a lot more, what we can do individually and as communities to better prepare and not worry about the numbers and the categories and all that minutia. It's all about the impact. And unfortunately for 40 people or so, the impact was devastating with this last event. Hate to end on a sour note, but look, sometimes the weather will get us, and we have to do better to be ready. I try to do my part here by presenting these videos to you. And look, as always, I appreciate you tuning in. It's good to have you, all right? Have a good rest of your week. I might be back with a video later in the week. We'll see if there's much to talk about. Otherwise, definitely next Monday. And if I don't see you between now and then, again, thank you for watching. I'm Mark Sudduth, and we'll talk again soon.